Here is something nobody tells you about getting rich. It almost never looks the way you imagined it would. It does not look like a garage startup or a viral app or a brilliant idea nobody else had thought of. Most of the time, it looks like a man named Marcus standing in a laundromat at 7 in the morning, watching machines spin and realizing for the first time in his adult life that the money coming in had nothing to do with how hard he worked that day. That moment took him 11 years and 3 failed businesses to reach. This is the story of how he got there. Marcus was 36 years old, living in a rented apartment in Charlotte, North Carolina, working as an inventory coordinator at a distribution center. On paper, he looked fine. Steady income, a girlfriend who loved him, an apartment that did not embarrass him when people visited. Inside the laptop on his kitchen table was a folder labeled Ideas, 43 documents, each one a version of a future that never arrived. He had tried a dropshipping store. He had tried a clothing brand. He had spent 18 months building a food delivery app that nobody downloaded. Every idea had started with excitement and ended with a lesson he paid for but never quite learned. One Thursday evening he sat down and did a calculation he had been avoiding for years. He added up everything he had earned across jobs and side hustles since he was 25. Then he looked at his bank account. The gap between those two numbers was so large it made his hands go cold. He had earned hundreds of thousands of dollars. He had almost nothing to show for it. Not because he was reckless, because every dollar he had ever saved went into the next idea, and every idea put him back at zero. He stared at that calculation until the screen dimmed and the apartment went dark around him. Then he closed the laptop. He closed the Ideas folder. He did not open it again. That was the end of one chapter. He did not know yet that the next one had already been sitting 2 blocks from his apartment for 12 years, waiting. The collapse did not arrive as one thing. It arrived as 3. His car needed serious repairs he could not cover without going into debt. He put $900 on a credit card and felt the weight of the decision the moment the charge went through. 3 weeks later, the distribution center announced a restructuring, and Marcus's position was eliminated. He sat in a conference room with a man in a pressed shirt who could not make eye contact while Marcus signed his name on a form about operational efficiency. He drove home without turning on the radio. Priya was still in her nurse's scrubs when she came through the door that evening. She had covered a double shift, and her eyes were tired in a way that meant she had been running since before sunrise. She set her bag down, looked at him, and read everything she needed to know from the way he was sitting. She did not ask what happened. She sat down across from him and put her hands flat on the table. After a long silence, she said, "I am not scared of starting over. I am scared of starting over again, for the same reason we started over last time." That sentence landed harder than anything Marcus had expected. She was not asking for a plan. She was telling him she was exhausted from believing in the next idea. He had not known how much she had been carrying quietly until that moment. He lay awake that night staring at the ceiling until the refrigerator hum was the only sound in the apartment and the clock showed 4 in the morning. He did not think about ideas. He thought about Priya, sitting across the table from him in her scrubs with her hands flat on the surface, looking at him like she was waiting for a different version of him to show up. He was 36 years old, and he was terrified in a way he had not been since he was a child. The next morning he got up before Priya woke, drove to a diner 2 miles away, and ordered coffee he could barely afford. He sat by the window and watched the street. The man at the next table was reading a physical newspaper. Gray temples, a half-eaten plate of eggs. He had the quality of someone who had nowhere urgent to be and had not been in a hurry for a long time. His name was Harold. He had owned a coin laundry in South Charlotte for 19 years before selling it and retiring. When Marcus asked what that had been like, Harold set down his newspaper and thought about it for a moment. Then he said, "The most boring thing I ever did. Also the best." He explained it simply. Machines, people with dirty clothes, quarters, week after week, the same thing, without needing to be convinced. He had not invented anything. He had not competed against 1,000 other people with 1,000 similar ideas. He had put machines in a room and let human beings do what human beings always do, which is get their clothes dirty and need to wash them. Marcus said it did not sound very exciting. Harold picked up his newspaper and said, "That is the point." He paid his bill, folded the paper under his arm, and walked out. Marcus sat with his cold coffee and turned the conversation over in his mind for a long time. He drove home and said nothing to Priya about it. He was not ready to say it out loud yet. He needed to check if it was real Priwand. He got a part-time warehouse job within 2 weeks. Not glamorous, but it paid the rent and left his evenings free. Every evening from 7 to 10 he studied, not casually, the way he should have studied before spending 18 months on an app nobody used. He read industry reports. He talked to owners in online forums. He visited 3 laundromats in his city and introduced himself to the people running them and asked careful questions. Then the bank rejected him. He had applied for a small business loan in month 5, too early, without enough documented income history from his part-time work, and without enough saved to show the bank he was serious. The rejection email arrived on a Tuesday morning while he was getting ready for his warehouse shift. He read it standing in the bathroom in front of the mirror and felt something drop in his chest. He went to work anyway. He came home. He sat at the kitchen table. Priya came in late from a shift and found him there in the dark. She did not ask what had happened. She sat across from him, the same table, the same way she had the night he lost the inventory job, hands flat on the surface. She said, "Tell me what it would take." He told her, more savings, more time at the job, a documented income history, long enough to convince the bank. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said she would pick up 2 extra shifts a month and they would add her income to the application together. Marcus looked at her across the table. He wanted to say something that was the right size for what she had just offered. He could not find it. He just said, "Okay." He opened a savings account the next morning. He labeled it one word, boring. He canceled 2 streaming subscriptions he never watched. He packed his lunch every day. He brought coffee to work in a thermos he had owned for years and barely touched. He did not cut everything. He was not punishing himself. He was paying himself first, every week, before anything else touched the money. The first month, the boring account held $900, more than he had saved in any single month in the previous 5 years. He transferred a small portion into a basic index fund and did not look at it for 4 weeks. The thermos became a ritual. Every morning, fill it. Drive to work. Do not stop at the gas station. It was a small thing. But small things done consistently stop feeling small after a while. The test came at month 4, exactly when he could least afford it. Priya's mother needed medical care that insurance covered only partially. The gap was $1,400. The boring account held just over $3,000. Priya did not ask Marcus to use it. She told him specifically not to. But Marcus watched her spend 3 evenings making calls and quietly rearranging numbers that did not want to arrange themselves, and he understood what it was costing her to protect the account he had started. He spent 1 week finding the money elsewhere. He sold a guitar he had not played in 4 years. He worked 3 extra warehouse shifts back to back, arriving home at midnight with his back hurting and eating cold food over the kitchen sink. He called his brother and borrowed $500 with a specific repayment date that he honored 6 weeks later to the day. He assembled $1,400 without touching the boring account. The night he transferred the money to cover Priya's mother's bill, he sat at the kitchen table and looked at the thermos on the counter. The boring account was intact, not because the account mattered more than the people around him, because he had learned across 11 years and 43 ideas that the moment a system is broken, once it becomes breakable forever. Consistency is either absolute or it is nothing. He did not touch the account. If you have ever protected something quietly while everything around you pushed back, you already know exactly what that week felt like. Drop 1 word in the comments right now that describes where you are in your own version of this story. I read every one. Month 9. Marcus found a listing for a 12-year-old coin laundry in a working neighborhood 4 miles from his apartment. The owner was 64 and wanted to retire. The numbers worked, not glamorously but honestly. The bank rejected him a second time. He sat in the parking lot outside the bank branch for 20 minutes before driving home. Then he called Harold. Harold answered on the 3rd ring. Marcus explained the situation, what he had found, what the bank had said, how close he was. Harold was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Find out if the seller will carry a note for part of the price. Older owners who want out sometimes prefer the monthly payment to a lump sum." Marcus called the seller the next morning. The seller agreed. Marcus applied to the bank a 3rd time with Priya's income documented, with 11 months of consistent savings history and with a reduced loan amount because the seller was covering a portion. The bank approved. On a Tuesday morning in October, Marcus signed the papers. He walked into the laundromat after closing. The smell of warm soap and fabric, the sound of machines running through their cycles. Nobody came to congratulate him. He stood in the center of the room for about 10 minutes and looked at the machines spinning. Then he drove home and told Priya. She was in the kitchen when he came through the door. He showed her the signed papers on his phone. She read them. Then she turned around and faced the sink for a moment. Her shoulders moved once. He realized she was crying quietly, not from sadness, just from the specific release of tension that comes when something you have been holding together for a long time finally holds itself. He put his arms around her from behind, and neither of them said anything. The laundromat paid them every month, not a fortune at first, but every month, without Marcus needing to convince anyone of anything. He kept the warehouse job for 8 more months. Not because he had to, but because he had learned patience about the moment he stopped needing to. 18 months in, Priya moved to a clinic with better hours. Not because they were wealthy, because they were no longer desperate, and those 2 things feel different in every room of a house. At month 22, Marcus placed 2 vending machines in the waiting area and a small ATM near the entrance. 3 income streams in the same physical space, none of which required him to be present. He quit the warehouse job on a Thursday. He did not make an announcement. He just did not go back. 3 years from the day he signed the papers, the monthly income from the laundromat and the machines covered their mortgage and their expenses and left something over every month that went into the index fund he had started in that first month of saving. Marcus was 39. He owned something. Not a yacht, not a viral brand, A room full of machines washing clothes in a neighborhood where people needed their clothes washed, and the money came in while he slept. His cousin Dre called last spring, 32 years old. 3 business ideas he was splitting his focus between. Progress on none of them. Marcus told him to write one rule on an index card and put it on his bathroom mirror. Find something boring that already works. Let it pay you every month. Do not look for the exciting version. Dre asked if it had to be a laundry. Marcus said no. A cleaning service with recurring clients. A pest control route. A small storage unit. Any business where the customer returned without needing to be convinced every time. That was the whole filter. Not what the business was, whether it paid once or paid every month. Dre said he had been walking past a small cleaning service for sale 2 blocks from his apartment for 3 months. 11 recurring commercial clients. Owner wanting out. Marcus said that sounded exactly right. He paused, then he said, find out if the seller will carry a note. Here is the math, simplified to the part that matters. Marcus started with almost nothing. He saved consistently when saving felt pointless. He bought a boring business while everyone around him chased exciting ones. 3 years later, the boring business gave him back his time. It was not a brilliant idea. It was not an app. It was machines and soap and people who needed clean clothes every week. The same thing Harold had told him over eggs and a newspaper in a diner, 2 miles from his apartment. One evening last month, Marcus drove to that diner. He sat at the window table. He ordered coffee. Harold's usual table was taken by a young couple eating quietly. He did not know where Harold was now. They had not spoken in over a year. He thought about the newspaper folded under Harold's arm, the way Harold had said boring is the point without looking up from his eggs. Marcus reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out an index card. He wrote 4 words on it in pen. Boring pays every month. He slid it under the sugar jar at the empty table beside him, for whoever found it, for whoever needed it. Then he paid his bill and walked out. The laundromat was quiet that evening. The machines kept spinning exactly as they had 3 years earlier. The same sound, the same smell of warm soap and fabric. Marcus locked the front door, looked back through the glass for a moment, and walked to his car. The money would keep working long after he got home. For the first time in 11 years, he had stopped chasing the next idea. If someone in your life is splitting their attention between exciting things and getting nowhere, send them this today, not tomorrow, today. And the next time you look at any business idea, any opportunity, any plan, ask yourself one honest question first. Does it pay you once, or does it pay you every month? Everything else follows from that answer.